No, Mr. Goat, the show will go on with or without you. It's a low compression, folks. Doesn't hurt. See? Rain, lightning, thunder, a protest from Mr. Goat refusing to sit in his goat boat. It doesn't stop the fastest growing tennis talk show in the world. Today on Coffee Break Tennis, we discuss, should Rafa Nadal take a page out of the Roger Federer book and skip the grass season as Roger skips clay? Meanwhile, Roger says he doesn't need any extra motivation to win Wimbledon, so back off. Racist, degenerate gamblers target young tennis players on the Twitters, and a bunch of people who were worried that Roger Federer would leave Nike have a lot less to be worried about now. I'm Matt Bradshaw, this is Coffee Break Tennis, let's get into it. Oh, now you're ready? What was that all about? Welcome to Coffee Break Tennis. If you like what we do here, make sure you smash that subscribe button. That was close to the camera. And if subscribing's too high of a commitment level for you right now at the moment, ATM as the teenagers like to say, just give us a little touch volley drop shot. That one did not clear the net. So before we get into this article I stumbled upon about whether or not Rafa should be skipping Wimbledon, let me show you this interesting thing I saw. This is from the metro.co.uk. It's a British thing. Playing tennis can improve your mood and mental well-being, says recreational tennis players. Look at this chart. Fitter and mentally stronger. 90% of people who play tennis. 86% improved mood and mental health. Right there for you. A couple stats really quick. You know I love stats. How tennis players felt they changed since they took up the game of tennis. 90% feel fitter. Well, no surprise there. 86%, that's the year I was born. 86% have improved, Maria Sharapova, 87, same day. 86% have improved mood and mental health. 77% have made friends.
Hello guys, just wanted to introduce you to my new friend, Coupe de Mousquetaire.
76% feel part of a community. Sounds a little bit like what we have in the comment section below. Make sure you comment. Be a part. Feel like you're part of the community. 74% feel mentally sharper. 72% are more active. 32% have lost weight. 84% of those people have lost up to half a stone. What the hell is a stone? 16% more than a stone. So why am I reading this stuff about recreational tennis? It's to tell you why you gotta come to Cincinnati and party down and play tennis with me and Pete and 20-something other people. Right before the Cincinnati Masters tennis tournament, the Western and Southern Financial Open, of course, Roger Federer has won the tournament several times, and I think if his body is healthy, he will do it again this year. We have an awesome tennis clinic at the club at Harper's Point, the finest tennis establishment in all of Ohio. So August 10th, 11th, 12th this year, coming up soon, you can go to Cincinnati and party down with me and Pete, learn a lot about tennis, make some new friends. Just click the link in the description below this video if you want to find out more. It is probably the most fun thing I do all year long. This will be the third year we have done it. So, the weather's very stormy here, so Mr. Goat has been spending a lot of time looking out the window wondering what's going on. He's fascinated by rain. He wants me to hold him like a baby and take him outside to look at the rain every time it rains. Rafa Nadal can use, this is from tennis.com. The printout doesn't show the name of the author, but we shall go on. Rafa can use some extra time to rest throughout the course of the season. As a teenager, Nadal said Wimbledon is the tournament he wanted to win most. But since 2011, remember this, we talked about it last year, Rafa hasn't made it past the round of 16. That's the fourth round for those of you who are new to the sport. But while Wimbledon captures the heart and mind of Nadal, his body and career will thank him for reconsidering his participation at not only the All England Club, but all grass events. You see where they're going with this? All grass, all clay. With Nadal now 32, it's not a matter of if he will be injured again, but when. Nadal's a workhorse that needs to play a lot to stay match fit and confident. He should keep doing that on clay, where he's been most successful, but not on grass, which puts more pressure on his taxed knees. So right there, let's just stop right there before we go any further. Is Wimbledon bad for your knees? Now, this is a tough one because To me, Wimbledon is the one tournament of the year where Rafa can feel pretty assured he won't get stuck in a lot of long, grueling rallies, which are going to be the most on your knees, right? When we play tennis, what hurts our knees the most? It's probably really long rallies. Every time you got to get down low to hit a ball, you got to slide, whatever, running all over the place. That's what's roughest on the knees. So we can argue at Wimbledon, there's a lot of serve, one shot, and it's over type points. There's a lot of, especially if you're Roger Federer, there's a lot of serve, and it is over type points. So we could argue that Rafa's best chance to get through a tournament with as little risk to the knees as possible is Wimbledon. We could say that the clay, even though it's a softer surface on the knees, longer matches, a lot of running, a lot of the sustained sliding. As we know, Roger's camp thinks the sustained sliding is very bad for a surgically repaired knee. It wouldn't be the first time judicious scheduling has paid off for an all-time great. Nadal should take a page from Roger Federer's book, who has skipped the clay court season each of the past 2 years. It works so well that Federer, once stuck on 17 slams, has won 3 over that span. Now, this is where the article makes some sense. In just a second, I, of course, me, who loves to look at the numbers and figure things out for sure, I went through all the majors that Roger and Rafa have played, and we'll see who's the one who's judiciously deciding to skip majors to lengthen his career. Nadal would need to play immediately after a presumably draining fortnight in Paris after he wins, 2 weeks of French Open play again. A lot more work than going to Wimbledon. The matches are much longer in the French Open. Paris to get properly adjusted to the surface, so they're saying Rafa's going to have to jump on a grass court, I guess Queen's Club they're talking about, like almost immediately. So real quick, let's consult Mr. Goat's computer. Put this on the screen, please. Although Roger is about 5 years older than Rafa, he's only played 4 more seasons than Rafa, but that's significant. 20 years, 20 seasons played for Roger, 16 played for Rafa. Remember, Roger has skipped 4 majors in 20 years. Rafa has played 20% less, 16 years, but has skipped 100% more. He's doubled Roger with 8 majors skipped. So before you go writing an article talking about maybe Rafa should take a page from Roger, maybe we should say Roger took a page from Rafa. Now we can argue this because we can say Roger's had way less injuries, although skipping the French Open in 2016, that's way more related to injury rather than judicious scheduling for your strong suits, grass, your favorite surfaces. The veteran Rafa's body is struggling to withstand the rigors of a full season, which is nothing new. Skipping big tournaments is difficult for someone as passionate about tennis as Nadal, but it needs to be taken into consideration. The great man Rafa himself said, "When you get older, you need to adjust a little bit more for the efforts in the calendar. For me, it is difficult to say I don't play, for example, grass, or I don't play hard, no?" So comment below what you think about that one. To me, it makes sense for Roger. I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again. It makes more sense to skip the grueling clay that comes right before your favorite surface. Wimbledon, it makes sense because you've played a full season for like 17 years in a row before you even skipped one major, whereas Rafa was skipping majors, I think, like in his second year. Again, injury. But for Rafa, they have a point. It's rough to win the French Open, although how many times did Roger do it? He's in the French Open final playing a grueling, heartbreaking match that he loses. Rafa wins, right? Soaring with confidence. Roger loses heartbreaking matches to Rafa in the French Open final, and he's there in time to play his warm-up at Halle, whatever. And of course, he goes on to Wimbledon and wins it several times. So we move on. Federer to wear Nike at Wimbledon despite sponsor change rumors. By the way, I'm going to get some comments. Some of your comments from last video. I got like 5 or 6 of them I want to read through today. We'll do that after we get through this stack of news stuff. Federer to wear Nike at Wimbledon despite sponsors change. This is from sportsbusinessdaily.com. Now, I haven't spoke much, and one of the comments is about this. I haven't spoke about this because to me it just looked like a rumor. It was just wild extrapolation, as they like to do in the media, tennis media, all media. Federer's deal with Uniqlo, am I saying that right? Is it like a G? Uniqlo has dampened for now, with his Wimbledon outfit revealed to be made by Nike. Nike will continue to provide outfits for Roger Federer at Wimbledon next week, despite ongoing paywall. We hit a paywall, Mr. Goat. That's okay. We will move away from the Sports Business Journal. We'll go somewhere else. Someone else is carrying this story, so we will not get cut off because of a paywall. Let's go to, I'm sure this is going to be great. This is Express.
Man, that sucks!
36-year-old superstar has been partnered with Nike for 10 years. Deal reportedly brings in about $8 million a year. However, Federer appeared ready to ditch the American sportswear brand in favor of Japanese company Uniqlo and a decade-long deal that continue beyond the conclusion of his professional career. Those rumors have been dampened for now, with Federer's all-white Wimbledon outfit revealed to be made by Nike. Did anyone really think, and don't get me wrong, it ain't over yet, but did anyone really think that Roger was going to switch and be not wearing Nike as he goes in for his 9th Wimbledon? We know that tennis players are very superstitious. There's no way you're going to have that major of a change right. I mean, the first tournament when you have this major change is going to be the most important tournament of your whole career, of the whole year. No way. One of the things that I've seen comments and messages about is that Roger Federer looks like he's not hungry enough. He needs to get his hunger back. And I have a hard time with that one. Now, we got to realize, yeah, for some tennis players, every match, every tournament, so important. You're just trying to make enough money and enough rankings points to stay alive and be a pro tennis player, right? You're constantly under danger of being ranked 2,000 in the world and making like $0 after you pay for your expenses on the Tennis World Tour. I don't need any motivation to win a 9th Wimbledon title. This is all again from The Express. This is from Uchi Amako. I don't need any motivation. I'm ready to go. I can't wait to play Wimbledon again. If I need motivation to play Wimbledon, then I have a problem. Then I know, Roger goes on to say, it is probably the end. But I'm very excited. I've been working for 3 months now to get ready for Wimbledon. Plus, it has been in the back of my head all the way through the offseason as well. It's the big goal of the season, waiting to win Wimbledon, so I'd better be ready. The process for these top tennis players, like I was saying, when you're not fighting for survival on the tour, is that these smaller tournaments don't really matter. They're part of a process for preparation for peaking at the most important tournaments like Wimbledon. I know it's not a Nick Kyrgios story, but I'm feeling the basketball shot. All right, we got 3 more stories, including one that was pretty interesting from Rod Laver, I thought. We also got this this racist degenerate gambler story, which I also thought was a little bit interesting too. So I printed it out for today. But first, let's look at your comments. On the screen we go. This comment is probably my favorite comment of the last video of the week, of the month, whatever. I am 16. This is from Darius Helleria, something like that. Darius, you can always comment below and coach me on how to pronounce your name. Oh, speaking of coaching, Cher Togenbosch, like big toe. Cher Togenbosch is how you say that tournament, that city, that place. You can also say Den Bosch, which I understand if you translate it from Nederland talk, from Dutch, it means magical forest. I'm 16 and I love this show. You are amazing. What Nick did is not the most obscene thing ever. It was funny. If you missed the last show, Nick Kyrgios, again, a disclaimer, if you were under 18, this is explicit. This is what Nick Kyrgios did at the Queen's Club on one of the changeovers. Darius, very mature young man at age 16, not bothered at all by this, doesn't find it obscene. He says it was funny. Darius says even for under 18 teenagers, he shouldn't be fined for that joke. And be ready for number 21 at SW19. Vamos, Roger! Sorry, Mr. Goat. This is from Lori Ferentinos. We love Lori. Roger didn't look right at the entire Halle Open. He was angrier than I've ever seen him in years. He usually takes everything in stride, but something definitely was off with him. I'm praying he's not hurt. Lori, I don't think Roger is hurt. I think the biggest reason why we saw him all angry, when you haven't played tennis in a couple months, couple weeks, whatever, anytime you take time off, you come back and things are a little harder than before. Now, don't get me wrong. Roger Federer is a professional athlete. He's working out. He's keeping his body in shape all the time, I'm sure. But still, when you're not used to those matches, it can be a little, maybe more mentally exhausting than physically for these guys who are in such good shape, like at all times of the year. They never really take a major break long enough to lose any significant amount of their fitness. And of course, when they get injured, sometimes you can't work out. Then you're going to lose some fitness. But Roger wasn't injured. He just wasn't taking risks. Again, I think skipping the French Open, it wasn't about resting for 2 months. A professional athlete doesn't have to rest for 2 freaking months. It's more about let's not take the massive risk, as his team pointed out, as we said up a freaking million times on this show. Let's not put the surgically repaired knee into a bunch of extended slides on the clay. It was about reducing risk, not about getting rest. I think Roger is fine. I think Roger will look better. Again, it is a process. his best is not meant to be in Halle and Stuttgart. His best is meant to show up at Wimbledon, and really his best is meant to show up in week 2 of Wimbledon. This is from Ankit Mohapatra, one of my favorite friends in all of the tennis world, sends me messages and great tweets all the time. You can follow me just like Ankit at the Twitters at CoffeeBreak10s, TENS, like the number. Follow me on the INSTANTgram at CoffeeBreak10, spelled as we spell it here. Anyone watching the Wimbledon qualifiers, is the grass slow this year? ? Dustin Brown had tweeted, and this is retweeted by the ever-resourceful Ankit. Rest in peace, grass court tennis. # serve in volley. And then there's a picture, a GIF. Ooh, little lightning. You hear that, Mr. Goat? Very scary. There is a GIF of a young boy shedding a tear. Comment below if you remember, because my memory tells me that last year, this same time, right before the draw hit, people were saying, oh no, I'm watching qualifiers, and these courts look really slow. And then we saw center court and thought, okay, center court looks faster than the practice courts, and it's in better shape than the practice courts, and better than the courts that the qualifiers were playing on. So comment below. And again, aren't the qualifiers not at Wimbledon, right? I thought they don't play at Wimbledon. When you qualify, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I remember this wrong, but comment below. I'm pretty sure if you're watching qualifiers for Wimbledon, those courts are not at Wimbledon. Those courts are not anything that Roger Federer is going to step his precious feet on. NSFW. We asked what NSFW stands for last video, and it was, of course, tied to the Kyrgios incident with the water bottle. And someone said this is NSFW behavior, one of these journalists who doesn't want to tell us what really happened and just write something like that. I asked, what does NSFW mean? And guess what it means? I got the best response right here from Alex James. NSFW equals no stopping Fed winning his 9th Wimbledon. Don't you forget it. Now let's get to some more negative comments. This is from Tennis Rules. Or perhaps it's from Tennis Rules. What are the rules of the game? We don't know. Maybe it means tennis rules, dude. Tennis is the coolest. Maybe it means tennis rules. They must be adhered to. Comment below, tennis rules. We need to know the context. Just get ready for a possible Fed disappointment at Wimbledon. This ain't Rafa on clay. That's for sure. I've heard a lot of this. Just to prove it to you, here's another comment. This is from Sir Richie-san. Whatever the reason may be, you have to agree that Nadal looks way more dominant and scary on his favorite surface, clay, than Federer on his favorite surface, grass. And this is coming from a Fed fan. A response from Mr. Claudio says, that is correct, Sir Richie-san, but let's not forget that grass is more prone to upsets than clay. And thank you, Mr. Claudio21, for pointing that out, because the fact that Roger owns Wimbledon is really impressive, because as Roger recently pointed out in his loss, on grass, the margins are slighter than anywhere else. So while I mean no disrespect to Rafa, 11 French Open titles, 11 titles anywhere in this great sport, tennis, extremely impressive. But if we're going to talk about who's more dominant on their favorite surface, let's just be clear that it's a little harder to be dominant on grass than clay. Now, we can go endlessly arguing, debating about this. Some people really don't like clay. Some people really don't like grass. It's all about your strokes. So something to be said for that. Surface is very different. Much less margin. You can argue that clay has the most margin. Grass has the least amount of margin for error. This next comment is from Kevin Alonso. You're a hack, and there's no chance the Federer will win Wimbledon. The old man is done. Sorry, Mr. Goat. It's okay. You can come back. It's okay, Mr. Goat. I promise I won't do that again. I'm so sorry, Mr. Goat. Everything's all better now. And finally, this is from VO-ID Projects. You have to think RF recovers and wins in best of 5 against Coric, or really no one can keep serving like he did in the second. I think he means in the third. The third set was when Coric, yeah, because Federer won the second set, so he definitely meant the third. Good point, though. I said the same exact thing. I don't know if I said it on the show or if I said it in a message I wrote someone or a Twitter comment or something, but it's hard for me to think that Roger doesn't find a way to win that match against Coric that we saw at Halle in the final on Sunday. if they went best of 5 sets. I know Roger would have been in a hole down 2-1, but we've seen Roger come back. And like we were talking about 2016 with the surgically repaired knee, the confidence at an all-time low going into Wimbledon, I'm sure. I mean, remember, 2016, Roger's not sure if he's going to keep playing. They're talking about you may have to retire if things don't go well with the knee, buddy. You know that's going through his head. And he comes back from, was it 2 sets or 2 sets to 1? 2 sets to love or 1. Either way, he comes back against Cilic, who's probably serving better than Coric would be. Coric served perfectly, missing only 1 first serve an entire set in that 3rd set. And as VOID Projects points out, hard to believe that he would have kept that up going into a 4th and 5th set. Whereas Roger, pretty confident that his win on 1st and 2nd serve, they're going to go up in the clutch moments when he needs it most. Always has been. All right, that's enough of those comments. Comment below if you have anything to say about those. Comment below if you have anything to say about anything in the show. We love your comments. Comment below if you had a great comment and I missed it and didn't put it in the show, and let me know how dumb I was to not put such an excellent point in the show. British tennis player Jay Clark racially abused online by gamblers, because we all know gamblers, they're the best. British tennis player Jay Clark has revealed that he's received racist abuse online for the past 5 years, mainly from gamblers. That's always the first thing people will go to, I think, especially when they lose money on a match. They don't say, oh, you got a terrible forehand. That's the thing. They go to try and hurt. There's nothing really you can do, just some bad people out there. Clark, who's 19, this is why I printed the story. I wasn't even going to print it until I read. Clark, who is 19, will make his Wimbledon singles debut next week, has received messages through Twitter and said that after some close defeats, he receives 5 or 10 messages a match. So this struck me because this is a 19-year-old young man. He's about to have such a big moment in his life. He's going to play in the main draw at Wimbledon. What would any of us give to experience that? Especially those of us who play tennis, who maybe might go to the Cincinnati Tennis Masters Clinic with me and Pete in August 10th, 11th, 12th. Don't forget to click below, check that out. So these degenerate gamblers are betting on these guys who are ranked like 300 in the world in these little dinky tiny tournaments. And then you lose money on a bet. I never understood this. You can't even watch most of these matches. Why don't you bet on the players that you get to see all the time in the bigger tournaments? I don't know. I'm not one of these racist, degenerate gamblers. Comment below if you're a good gambler. Maybe you're saying, hey, Matt, I don't like this because you're making it look like all of us degenerate gamblers are racist. And we get a bad enough rap already. Comment below. Stick up for the degenerate gamblers. Maybe there's some non-degenerate gamblers. You always hear those words associated with each other. I'm not much of a gambler myself, although I sure am a gambler when I hit my 2nd serve and put it on the line, baby. It's basically just because they lose money on tennis. I mean, they don't really care if I win or lose a tennis match. So yeah, it happens to me. Happens to a few guys on the tour. This is interesting here. Me, Dustin Brown, Gael Monfils, Donald Young, Evan King, we all receive basically the same messages. And yeah, it's bad. The ugliness of humanity, the ugliest part of humanity. You lose, you're frustrated, you say something mean. We all can relate to it. Maybe not the racism part, but we can all relate. Roger Federer can relate to it. Remember in 2009 U.S. Open final?
I don't give a shit what he said. I just say he's waiting too long. Don't fucking tell me the rules.
When things are not going our way, it's easy to say hurtful, mean things to the innocent people around us at the moment. ATM, as the young people like to say. But as Jay Clark said, they don't say, oh, you've got a terrible forehand. They go to try and hurt. So hey, if you're a degenerate gambler out there, don't go so low. We know you're upset that you lost money, but racism is not the answer. Oh, and the part that I didn't read on the bottom of the article was that the ATP may be looking into ways of tracking these people who send these anonymous messages. So, they're coming for you. All right, we're going to get out of here. Let me read through these real fast. Bernard Tomic crashes out of Wimbledon qualifying a year after he said he couldn't be bothered and feigned injury during the first round defeat. Just look at where this guy is. Bernard Tomic. This looks like a depressed individual. Look, I'm done with the hate fest on Bernard Tomic. For me, it started, what was it, like 2011 when he, Roger had been struggling a little bit, and it looked like Bernard Tomic is on the rise. Some people were saying, oh, he's going to be in top 10 in no time. And he said something like, yeah, I'm definitely going to beat Roger. And Roger said, no, you're not, and toyed with him in that match. Yeah, I was big on the Bernard Tommy hate back then. I think the guy's had enough. I think he's figured out his behavior has been kind of dumb. Ooh, Mr. Goat, let's get out of here. That thunder is so scary. Finally, the last thing here. This is from Vivek Jacob, sportsnet.ca. Rod Laver, big fan of El Chapo, Denis Shapovalov. This is interesting from the great legend, Rod Laver the Rocket. I'm very impressed with the young Canadian Denis Shapovalov. He's a lefty like me, and at 19, he's showing a tremendous amount of promise. I feel like he's certainly going to reach the top if he continues with the attitude he's got. That's a key there. Shapo has a very serious attitude for tennis. This guy is not like what we're talking about with Bernie Tomic in the last story. He enjoys playing. Every post is a winner. I don't know what a post is. He's very keen. If you're Aussie Monica, comment below. What does it mean? Every post is a winner. He's very keen and naturally talented. You need some major strokes like a big serve and a big forehand. He's got it, and a single-handed backhand as well. But this is the part that I thought was interesting. Guys like Dominic Thiem, Alexander Sasha Zverev. This is still Rod Laver speaking. Still quoting Rod Laver here. They made the French Open final. He's talking about Dominic Thiem. Probably the two young ones at the moment that are great. But Denis just needs a little bit more time and experience. Sometimes when you're young, and this makes me think of the young Roger, you say, I want to show you guys how I can do this or that. And the next thing you know, you're trying to do too much in your game. You gotta stay under control. He hasn't put it all together in his head just yet. Hasn't found a way to use all those talents to be the greatest. We shall see. Rod Laver certainly thinks so. Thank you for watching Coffee Break Tennis. Again, don't forget to check out the link below about the Tennis Masters Clinic that me and Peter Freeman from Crunch Time Coaching will be hosting in Cincinnati. Also, if you are a tennis player, maybe you're not interested in that, you will be interested in the latest video over at Crunch Time Coaching, Serve Clones, where Pete has painstakingly made 3 videos talking about copying Roger Federer's service motion exactly. I'm going to put it on the end screen. You have to check it out. I'm obsessed with it now. Just watching these old replays of Roger at Wimbledon from like 2014-15 final with Djokovic, I'm looking at his service motion a little bit different after spending so much time with Pete right here on the YouTubes at the Crunch Time Coaching channel. Again, thank you for watching Coffee Break Tennis. I'm Matt Bradshaw. He's Mr. Goat. We will see you tomorrow for our draw show. See ya.